Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Venture Fuel Visionaries podcast. I'm your host, Fred Schonenberg. On today's show, we have Seth Adler. Seth is the head of IMI Media at Informa and a driving force behind all things insights and all things innovation. Seth has spent his career bringing people together through dynamic content, including events, podcasts, and written works. He's also played a pivotal role in shaping conversations at industry-leading events like FEI, which is Front End of Innovation, where he facilitates impactful discussions on topics like AI trends, business transformation, and consumer insights. I'm really excited to dive into his journey, his work at FEI, and also his perspectives on fostering innovation. So please join me in welcoming Seth. Seth, thanks so much for joining us.
Fred, appreciate it. Appreciate the invitation.
So I'm thrilled to have you on the show. I've enjoyed our conversations. Venture Fuel is a sponsor of FEI this year. We had such a great experience last year, so we're excited to dive in. And just through that process, I've enjoyed our conversations about innovation and, of course, Knicks basketball.
Yeah, absolutely. I like to talk about the Knicks, and I like to talk about the Knicks with you because you know what you're talking about. And whenever people are hearing this, we'll see what has happened in the playoffs of 2025 for the New York Knicks.
I worried that our audience right now is like, are these guys going to talk about the Knicks
or no
innovation?
Yeah,
so maybe we'll have a separate, for true fans, we'll go to the side and do a different one. But for those that might not be familiar, can you give a little background on FEI, who puts it on, what's the mission and your role within it?
Sure, absolutely. FEI, Front End of Innovation, is an event that's been running for 21 years. The 22nd event is May 19th through the 21st in 2025 at the Omni Seaport, Boston. It either is almost happening or already did happening based on when you're listening to this. But as a 21-year running event, it was started up kind of after Clayton Christensen wrote The Innovator's Dilemma. He was the first keynote for the show, and it really was an event that was designed for that fuzzy front end. Let's get some ideas on the table. Let's go wild with what we can do in terms of corporate innovation. Over the 21 years, that is evolved. Not only the conference itself, but the way that corporations look at innovation. There seems to be less of an appetite for breakthrough painting with a broad brush than there was those 21 years ago. And so we've evolved the show over the past 2 years. So this will be my second production to be more about aligning innovation with business strategy. And the reason for that is we've got, C-level, C-suite folks who don't necessarily understand exactly, I'm talking about global corporates, understand the value because they can't read the dashboard from the innovation function. And so, for many, many reasons, it is appropriate for the audience of FEI, which has always included marketers and strategy folks and transformation and analytics and data science, to get around the table and align innovation for business strategy. So that's our mission now.
I love it. And you and I have talked before about like this aligning business strategy and innovation. Since we last talked, I had a conversation with a group of people, executives at a company, and they were presenting the innovation dashboard. And like, this is how many ideas were generated. This is how many this and that. And the CEO just kept going, so what? So what? And he said, so what, like 6 times. And it was very uncomfortable, kind of hilarious. And also it was like, hey, he was looking for, okay, I put this many million into this, what comes out? And like, that's what I need to figure out. It doesn't matter if it comes right away. I don't have to be that short-sighted, but like, I need a metric that matters to the strategy of the business that aligns with how the other groups are doing it. So I think it's an incredible sort of theme to rally around, is bringing innovation and strategy together. So I think it's really cool. Was it because of Clayton Christensen that it is based in Boston, or what made you all choose Boston?
That did definitely help, in all seriousness. Okay, we can get Clayton, let's run it there. This is before my time, but that's one of the reasons, certainly. But Boston is well-known, innovation hub. You've got all of those wonderful academic institutions that are there, and then the venture community around it. I don't have to tell you that it is a wonderful place to call home for, what we're trying to do.
Yeah, 100%. So let's turn to this year's theme. You mentioned sort of the mission within it of connecting business strategy with innovation, but the theme is harvesting innovation, sowing the seeds of future growth. Can you walk us through what that means and how you guys arrived at it?
100%. Yeah. So it's not about today. It's about what we can do today to get the growth out of our organizations tomorrow. So that's sowing the seeds of future growth. As far as harvesting innovation is concerned, that gets back to that aligning innovation with business strategy. Ideas are wonderful, but they are worthless unless they are well executed. And so harvesting innovation is about executing those fuzzy front end ideas into the ecosystem of the organization so that we get true value, no matter how you measure that value out of the innovation function aligning with the rest of the organization. So let's actually go ahead and get that tremendous harvest that we know that we can. When I talk to folks like you and folks that are on the corporate side, they know we can harvest innovation. It's just a matter of actually doing it. And so that's why that's our theme.
Yeah, I think it's so important and something that often gets lost, right? Like I always, when I first got into this world, I was like, this is like a startup petting zoo. Like, it's like, here comes a bunch of startups or new technologies or ideation sessions, and like everybody comes and pays attention and has a fun day. It is like an employee engagement moment, and then everyone goes back to their day job. And I'm like, that's not innovation, right? Or it's people in a skunk works lab somewhere far away. I'm like, isn't this a business? The reason that we're here is to drive some sort of commercializable outcome. And I love that you all are connecting those two pieces of what is necessary, those sort of, longer adjacent emerging shots, but with some sort of real business need and strategy. I know that the conference is yet to happen, but I'm curious, you do a lot of prep work, interviewing, who you want to speak and talking to them ahead of time. If you reflect on what's happening in the innovation space today, are there any things that pop to mind, whether it's themes or just changes in the past year or so?
Sure. Without question, I guess, I think we'll talk about AI, but let's start now.
Yeah.
What we have realized over the past kind of 12 months within global corporates, and again, painting with that broad brush at global corporates, it wasn't necessarily understood what was going to be happening with artificial intelligence in those organizations when we met last year. And we actually heard that through our AI roundtables. We are running another version of those AI roundtables. We're calling it the no hype AI roundtables. We don't care about what you think. We don't care about what your theory is. We just want to know what's happening. And so we anonymize it. We do Chatham House rules. And that's how we can understand how 300 plus corporates, are actually dealing with the technology at hand. That clearly is a huge focus for every person that's going to be there, let alone executive, meaning you can be an executive and a person at the same time. Maybe not everybody, but most people can. And so it's, how am I dealing with this, on my personal level? How am I integrating artificial intelligence just as a person, and then for my function with my team, for my organization? And so that's why we've kind of split up the 3 days with 3 themes, because we don't want AI to take over, right? I know that there's been enough AI programming. What we're doing with it at FEI is day 1 is focused on human intelligence. That's what got us here. Let's talk about the people. Let's talk about how we can work better together. Our rogue mindset roundtables that kick off the event really help with that. We also have the FEI honors, which we can get into. Artificial Intelligence Day is the second day, but it's only the second day. We also have Collective Intelligence, which is putting human intelligence and artificial intelligence together for the future of the organization. But that AI day starts with those roundtables. It ends with the collective intelligence startup competition. And so we feel like we are integrating artificial intelligence into whatever else is happening as well.
I love that. And I think it's so smart to like the last day of it all coming together, right? Human and computer interfaces. It kind of brings me to the idea of collaboration, which I think you all do really well. I kind of want to break the question into two. One is collaboration amongst industry leaders. And the second maybe is different ecosystem players. But to start with the first, like one of the things that I find the best or most valuable of FEI is that you bring industry leaders together into a space that they can connect with each other and have those conversations about what challenges do you have? This is how I did it, blah, blah, blah. Can you talk to that, the value of that collaboration and how you all foster it?
100%. The first best way is by making sure that the right people are in the room. Yeah. And so we, make no bones about the fact that this is a corporate event. It is for corporate decision makers, director level, VP level, that kind of, budget holder who is also a doer. That's our audience, corporates. As far as collaboration is concerned, I've been running conferences for my whole existence. Basically, there's rumors that I was organizing conferences in kindergarten, but since there was no video, we just don't know. But in all seriousness, the conversations that always happen in the hallway are always the best conversations that happen at an event. And so I've made my career on making sure that that's not where those best conversations happen. They happen in the rooms. And so that's why we kick off each day with the entirety of the delegation working at roundtables with each other, workshopping, sleeves are rolled up. Let's talk about the conversations. Let's answer the questions that we have. I do a thing in terms of panel discussions, rather than asking questions of the panelists that have just been speaking for 20, 30 minutes. They ask the group a question, and then we iterate around that answer. And so not only is it about getting the right people into the room, it's about making sure that those conversations that traditionally happen in the hallway actually happen within the structure of the conference.
Yeah, I think it's very cool. And I've told you the story before that, like, how did I know if FEI worked for us last year? And I remember coming off stage and, someone very senior at a very large corporate grabbed me and just started peppering me with questions off of what I had said, and was like, well, how did you do this? What about that? Right. And it was like such a meaningful connection point. But I think it was built based on how you all had set up the day, right? Because it wasn't like, oh, here's somebody up there talking head, I'm going to read my phone while they speak, and maybe some nugget will fall into my head. It wasn't that type of conference. People's sleeves were rolled up even when they were listening, right? And it felt very interactive, and the audience was involved and very passionate, obviously, about the work that they're all doing.
Yeah, you're saying it, and I can't say it better than that. So
one of the things we're super excited this year, we're running a session on co-development, which is, where we help a large corporate work with a startup or new technology to bring something, new to the world more rapidly, right? So sort of this idea of taking internal R&D and accelerating it with external best practices to kind of seize market share and go to market faster. And it's very cool. Like I love how hungry the audience is for these types of things. Curious on your end, are you seeing a shift in how companies are approaching their innovation models? Over time, it feels like there's all different frameworks that emerge over each cycle here. But just curious if you're seeing anything that you think is interesting.
That evolution continues in every discipline, and especially in innovation. We have to be doing innovation differently because that's the definition of innovation. As far as startups are concerned, what I'm thrilled about with FEI over the past couple of years is we introduced that startup competition that I mentioned earlier last year. It was on net zero emissions. We had the founder of Carbon Negative Solutions was the one that banked the $25,000 prize for winning the competition. We are coming back now that, of course, we've solved climate change. You're welcome.
That's great. Thank you for that. Thank you.
You're welcome. That's it. It's the least we could do. We're now doing artificial intelligence. And when the board, we've got, our advisors said, do artificial intelligence. I said, can you be more specific? Yeah. And so that's how we arrived on collective intelligence. Now, this is not my term. This is an MIT term. You can ask Professor Thomas Malone that this is about marrying human intelligence with artificial intelligence. And so that's what we said to the startup community in Boston. If you've got human intelligence, tacit knowledge, human ingenuity as an input in your AI solution, please apply for this seed stage competition. And we are just about to announce our finalists. We've got actually a number of them. We're gonna probably be over 10 finalists, and they're all gonna pitch, and someone's gonna win $25,000.
I love that you all didn't do. A lot of conferences do like a general call for startups, right? And it's a little bit of a just let's roll some people out there and say we're doing startups and see if we can get somebody to sponsor it. I'd love that you talk to your board, who's all corporate leaders, what are the problems they're trying to solve? What is a focus area so that it's more tangible, right? Like it's not just a startup petting zoo, as I said before, but it is actually like, hey, everyone that's there, you can work with these companies.
That's it. And I've got a number of advisory committees. And we set up an additional advisory committee specifically for the startup competition. And so it's folks that do exist in the space, or that benefit from the space, or that influence the space or inform the space. So I'm very pleased that we've got representatives from Google and Microsoft who are judging this competition. They're, these same judges judge the submissions to get us to the finalists, and then the finalists do get judged for to see who is going to win. And like you said, this is not a dog and pony show. We are evaluating these solutions with folks that understand what these solutions are, and then putting them out there for the general corporate audience.
I love that. So are there any sessions, speakers, themes that you are super juiced about that you want to kind of promote to get people to get excited about the conference?
I mean, I can't wait for the Fred Schonenberg Venture Fuel session.
Oh, it's going to be a you're on the show.
That's it. It's exactly it. In all seriousness, thank you for the sponsorship. We very much appreciate the business, and I do not kid when I say that you do traditionally provide valuable sessions. For me, it's like children, I would imagine. I don't have one. I have a dog named Mookie for Wilson, not Blaylock or Betts, but that's just me.
I love crazy that you have to qualify which Mookie. I think that's very interesting.
And we did look it up. Each Mookie derives from the last one. So Blaylock was named after Mookie Wilson, and then Betts was named after Blaylock, as I understand it.
Really?
Yeah. So that's, we can talk more about that on this other show that we're talking about doing.
Is it possible for me to change the title of this episode to Mookie?
Please, I mean, she'll love it. My wife will love it. Absolutely. Now I've lost my sense. But basically, all of these sessions, I don't want to pick out anyone in particular. We've got great track sessions that are organized into types of labs. So whether it's a case study, or whether it's a problem-solving lab, or whether it's a front-end principle, we've got a number of different ways that you can learn. We've got 3 sets of meetings. We've got team meetings on the last day so that you definitely have an action plan before you leave. Throughout the 2 other days, we've got one-to-one meetings, which we call one-to-one starter meetings, because they don't necessarily, every time you meet someone, it's not necessarily a match. So it's just a 10-minute starter meeting. If it works, keep going. And we've got proxy meetings, which are small group problem solving, to make sure that any problem that folks are kind of grappling with right now is at least brought up at the show. I think my favorite session this year, though, to answer your question, because it's frustrating to ask a question without getting an answer, would be this new FEI honors ceremony that we put together. And we're going to harken back to Clayton Christensen again. He said, why do well-run organizations fail? And it's because they're too well run. Doing the right thing is doing the wrong thing. If I'm all set up with all of my processes and systems and technologies in place, I cannot bring in a new disruptive technology by definition. So we take that concept to heart as far as running FEI itself. As we evolve this, as it becomes what it is now and isn't what it was. We used to have a ton more academics on stage, kind of sharing their thoughts and theories. And now it's really about corporate to corporate collaboration, as we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
So we wanted to make sure and tap into our old friends and former keynotes and say, you're the ones that blazed the path to now. Tell us what your thoughts are on where we're going, 2030. Let's look 5 years out. And what do we need to do now to get there? And so Professor Linda Hill is coming back. We've got Professor Rita McGrath coming back. We've got Mike Tushman, who I had breakfast with recently, who's fantastic. He's going to contribute. We've got Steve Blank from Stanford and Panos Panay, who was the founder of Sonic Bids and now is the president of the Grammys. So he is the disruptor sitting in the seat of power in an industry. He's also being celebrated. It's interesting. We call them innovation luminaries. So it's a similar type of feel. It's your kind of session,
Yeah, man, I can't wait. That sounds very, very cool.
There's one more person that we just added. Sorry for interrupting, but we do have a live stream Q&A with Steve Wozniak. Woz will be back.
The Woz.
You got it. He keynoted in 2019, and we wanted to make sure to ask him questions. So we've, all you got to do is submit your question before the show, and then we can ask him your question.
I love it. I don't know why, because you're in Boston. I immediately went to Yaz instead of Woz. I thought you were going to go Yastrzemski on us, but Woz is better for this audience, I think.
Sure. And you're talking about former left fielder number 7, Collier Yastrzemski, who followed Ted Williams into left field at Fenway Park in Boston and preceded Jim Rice. But you're only referencing it, so I'm just going to give the backup information.
There you go.
And leave it.
Mookie Wilson all the way to Red Sox left fielders. I do have to say, we have my mom had a collection of baseball cards, and it is to all of our frustration that Carl Yastrzemski's rookie card is by far like the most valuable card we have as a family, and we are very diehard Yankee fans. So it is it's like, what do we do with this thing like that is so important to so many people, but we also like have a love-hate with it. So anyway, before I talk too much baseball, let me go here. Seth, what is the best place for people to go to sign up for the conference, join, learn more about what you're doing?
Well, learn more is definitely allthingsinnovation.com/harvesting innovation. So we've got a brochure that's got all of this information. It's got detail on the sessions. You get a chance to kind of understand who's going to be there in a speaking capacity. One thing we take seriously is making sure that every conversation we do have is fulfilling. And so we've got roundtable moderators for those roundtable sessions. So each, of the tables does have somebody who's thinking and kind of managing that conversation to make sure that we get to an outcome. So there's a ton of people in that harvesting innovation piece that you can start to meet. As far as straight registering, you want to go to informaconnect.com/FEIUSA.
I love it. Well, Seth, thank you for your time today. Thank you for everything you're doing to spark change. And I'll see you in Boston in a couple of weeks.
Sounds like a plan, Fred. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome.